Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up for a special broadcast. We are tracking a narrative that has shattered the confines of the scoreboard and erupted into a full-blown cultural revolution. If you keep an eye on the pro circuit, you are well acquainted with the titans, Świątek, Sabalenka, Coco Gauff. However, if you have been glued to your news feeds for the last 10 days, specifically watching the absolute anarchy spilling out of Melbourne and surging right across the Indian Ocean to the shores of the Arabian Gulf, then you know the most volatile element in tennis today isn't a ranked number one or a decorated legend. It is a 20-year-old southpaw from the Philippines who has single-handedly forced the Middle Eastern elite to tear up their playbooks and panic rewrite their logistics. We are referring, undoubtedly, to the phenomenon that is Alexandrea Eala. That banner scrolling across your screen is no exaggeration. The entire region is reeling in genuine disbelief. Her landing was chaotic, but her status is now undeniable, a bona fide global sensation. Tonight, we strip away the sensationalism to expose the tangible crisis of popularity currently paralyzing Abu Dhabi. First, let's address the sheer shock of it all. To grasp why security teams in the Emirates are on red alert, we must rewind to the seismic tremors that just shook Australia. Eala's run at the Australian Open wasn't a mere tournament appearance, it was a demographic tidal wave. It was a catastrophic failure of planning because the powers that be completely underestimated the monster they were dealing with. They saw a qualifier. They saw the world number 49 and shoved her onto court 6, a tiny outer venue, and the result was absolute bedlam. A sea of fans draped in Filipino colors choked the arteries of Melbourne Park until security perimeters simply disintegrated. Gates were slammed shut, leaving ticket holders fuming outside, wondering why their passes were suddenly worthless. The footage of that roar, an energy rivaling a Grand Slam final, sent tremors through the entire industry. And now, that same tsunami has crashed onto the shores of the UAE. This leads us to the chaos of her arrival, marked by a blizzard of rumors and frantic speculation regarding her next move. Was she going to play? Was she too battered from Melbourne? But the real question wasn't about her health. It was about whether the Middle East could actually contain the madness. Insiders at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open tell us they are tearing up their security manuals and rewriting crowd control strategies overnight before she takes the stage tomorrow. They saw the footage from Down Under, and frankly, they are petrified of a sequel. The confusion arises because this infrastructure is built for polite golf claps and orderly cues, not for a passionate nationalistic army arriving by the thousands to support their own. We have moved far beyond a girl hitting a yellow ball over a net. This is a cultural movement. When Eala lands, the city's heartbeat changes, and ticket inventory evaporates in a matter of hours. As security demands skyrocket, our deep dive tonight ignores the forehand and the serve to focus on something bigger. We are dissecting the sheer force of the Eala shock. We investigate how a disciplined student from the Rafa Nadal Academy and Quezon City morphed into the most volatile variable in Middle Eastern sports. We will break down the hysteria that erupted the second her boots hit the tarmac at the airport. We'll analyze the scramble as fans and officials alike were caught up in the frenzy of her landing. We'll look at how the Arab Tennis Federation and global press have been forced to elevate her to headline status instantly, right next to heavyweights like Belinda Bencic. And we will explain why. Despite bowing out early in Melbourne, she remains the undisputed conversation starter of the entire hemisphere. The region is bracing for impact, and the box office is already cleaned out. The confusion has crystallized into one hard truth. The phenomenon has arrived, and it is deafening. Don't go anywhere. This is the deep dive, and to truly understand the gravity of the situation in Abu Dhabi, we have to turn back time. We need to explain why a tennis player is being received with the same frantic energy usually reserved for heads of state or global pop superstars. For decades, the desert swing through Abu Dhabi, Doha, and Dubai has been the exclusive playground of the established aristocracy. It is a circuit that markets itself on opulence, precision, and hosting the creme de la creme. They built their brand on legends, Federer, Djokovic, Serena Williams, names that scream prestige. Those icons constructed the reputation of desert tennis. But in 2026, the script has been completely shredded. The vibe has swung violently from prestige to raw passion, a shift driven entirely by the ascent of Alex Eala. let's discuss this chaotic arrival. For the past 48 hours, the digital landscape across the Emirates has been absolutely electric with rumors. Aviation apps were refreshing constantly, while the arrivals hall at Zayed International swelled with supporters desperate for a single look. And for what? Simply because nobody actually knew if she would land in time or what condition she'd be in when she did. Don't forget, she is fresh off a punishing, if brief, run in Melbourne, with a lightning-fast stopover in Manila before jetting straight to the Gulf. Quiet conversations behind the scenes suggested she was on the verge of pulling out completely. Speculation ran rampant that the crushing emotional burden of her Australian Open exit, where she broke down in tears, devastated by the thought of disappointing her, people would demand a hiatus. However, the moment the verified update flashed across the screens, announcing her touchdown in Abu Dhabi, uncertainty turned into full-blown action. The Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open directors, having witnessed the pandemonium in Melbourne, played a card nobody saw coming. They refused to treat her as merely another name on the roster. Instead, they anointed her the absolute centerpiece of the entire event, a shocking decision that dominates our headlines today. Just look at the picture here. This is a WT, A500 tournament, stacked with heavyweights and decorated Grand Slam title holders. Despite that star power, all the promotion, the hype, and the electricity are orbiting a girl ranked 49th in the world. It flies in the face of traditional tennis wisdom, where you typically build the brand around the number one seed or the defending champion. However, this region understands a truth the rest of the globe is only beginning to grasp regarding the Alexandrea Eala phenomenon. Let's break it down. What drives this intense regional obsession? Why is the response so raw and emotional? The answer lies in the demographic fabric of the Gulf. The United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia host millions upon millions of overseas Filipino workers. For decades, this immense diaspora has served as the essential spine of the region's development and infrastructure. And yet, they have starved for a sporting hero to cheer for right here on local soil. Manny Pacquiao was a legend, sure, but he fought in distant arenas like Vegas or Macau. Alexandrea Eala is physically present. She is competing in their neighborhood, standing as a powerful validation of their existence here. The moment she walks onto that hard court in Abu Dhabi, the mission goes far beyond chasing ranking statistics. She carries the hopes of every nurse, engineer, architect, and service staffer across the Gulf, a pressure cooker intensity that most 20-year-olds could never comprehend, much less handle. Here is where the surprise transforms into a compelling sports storyline. Does she have the fortitude to survive it? Melbourne taught us that the Eala Army, as her legion of fans is dubbed, can act as a double-edged blade. Down under, the deafening roar initially shook her rival, Alicia Parks, but as the clock ticked on, that weight shifted squarely onto Eala's shoulders. Every single mistake triggered a massive, collective sigh of despair from thousands of spectators. A missed serve wasn't just a point lost, it felt like a national catastrophe, while the silence during her struggles was crushing. She is importing that exact volatility to Abu Dhabi, and the real shock for the Middle Eastern hosts will be the sheer energy in the stands. Historically, tennis in the Emirates is a refined, polite experience, respectful clapping, and disciplined silence. When Eala takes the stage tomorrow, expect that decorum to be obliterated in favor of football stadium intensity and raucous chanting. We are predicting a total cultural annexation of the Zayed Sports City International Tennis Center. Officials are currently scrambling, torn between enforcing traditional tennis quietude or embracing this wild new vibe. How do you hush the very crowd paying for the seats? Do you stifle the electricity that is blasting your tournament across the internet? This is the specific disruption Eala introduces. She compels the sport to evolve, to amplify its volume, and to accept a bit of chaos. Shifting focus to the actual game, the metrics simply cannot be ignored. We label her a global phenomenon, not merely for the fandom, but for her steep rise. 2025 was the year potential exploded into kinetic reality. Witnessing her take down Iga Świątek in Miami was a moment that coaches around the globe are still dissecting. That victory was no accident. It was a systematic dismantling. It demonstrated that her left-handed forehand, forged in the fires of the Nadal Academy, possesses the spin and weight to bully the world's elite, a feat she chased with gold at the SEA Games in Thailand. While cynics brushed that off as a minor regional win, they were dead wrong. The intensity of battling local favorites on their turf was immense. Bearing the flag there served as the ultimate dress rehearsal for the cauldron she is about to enter in the Middle East. She swept through without dropping a single set, displaying a ruthless streak we hadn't seen before. Consequently, her arrival in the Gulf brings a shock that is as much about competition as it is about culture. Locker room titans like Rybakina and the top seeds aren't looking at a number 49 ranked opponent. They see a lethal wild card backed by the ferocity of a home crowd. To face Alexandrea Eala in Abu Dhabi is to effectively walk into a hostile away game. It doesn't matter where you hail from. She is a psychological disruptor, sowing absolute chaos throughout the bracket. Now, let's get real about the obstacles off the court. Insiders claim Eala's camp is running a military-grade schedule to manage her time. That messy headline about confusion, it likely stems from the total radio silence enforced the second she touched down. She used to be an open book at these events, but this trip? She is surrounded by an ironclad security bubble. Her squad, likely guided by those Nadal Academy masterminds, realizes the Middle Eastern spotlight can choke you out if you let it. The goal is laser focus, but shielding her has ticked off the local reporters, sparking all these mixed messages. Fans are asking, Alex, why skip the airport mic time? The reason is straightforward. She didn't fly in for a photo op. She is hunting a trophy. After that crushing loss in Melbourne, she knows she has to go the distance. It is time to turn all that buzz into silver. This desert backdrop is the ideal setting for her comeback story. Abu Dhabi's Deco turf plays medium-slow, fitting her style like a glove and buying time to unleash that southpaw cannon. That extra split second lets her craft rallies, mirroring the strategy of her mentor and hero, Rafa Nadal. If she rides the wave of fan enthusiasm instead of drowning in it, she is looking at a serious shot at the championship. However, if the glare of the spotlight blinds her or the chaos breaks her concentration, she might be packing her bags early again. That fragile balance is exactly why the atmosphere is so thick and why the whole region is watching with bated breath. Bringing this breakdown to a close, let's look at the stakes for the next 7 days. That viral banner claiming the region is shocked? Well, they ought to be stunned because they are watching the genesis of a completely different breed of athlete. Traditionally, icons were forged in Western academies and sold on prestige. Alexandrea Eala stands for where the game is going next. A horizon that is truly international, distinctly Asian, unapologetically loud, and fueled by raw passion. All the gossip about her landing will evaporate the second that first serve goes airborne. The scramble for seats, the headlines, the logistics, it is all static. The real broadcast, the magic, happens inside the white lines. We are standing by to see if Alex can transmute the pressure of this new fame into pure court domination. We will find out if this desert oasis is prepared for the uprising she is bringing to the game. To the Filipino community in the stands, this isn't just a bracket. It feels like the tennis universe is finally coming home. It is the ultimate trial for the next generation. We will be tracking every ace, return, and plot twist of this drama. The waiting is done. The fog is lifting. The show is on. Now, over to you guys. Are you on the ground in Abu Dhabi? Did you catch the airport madness, or are you clutching a lucky pass for round 1? Sound off in the replies down there, and make sure you smash that subscribe button. We are bringing you play-by-play breakdowns of Eala's desert storm as it unfolds. Until then, keep watching the sand. The hurricane is here,